Somewhere right now, a marketing lead is staring at next year's event budget, and next to 3 of those events, she's about to write the same note she wrote last year. Not sure if this one's worth it. And she's probably right about at least one of them, because the honest answer to are trade shows worth it isn't yes and isn't no. It's worth it to who, at which show, and did you actually work the leads after? I'm not going to sit here and tell you every event is gold, because some of them are really a waste of your money. What I want to show you is how to tell the difference, which shows to cut, and the one thing teams who win at events all do that has almost nothing to do with the size of their booth. Here's where most of these budget fights go sideways. Somebody asks, are trade shows worth it? Like it's the one thing you can give a thumbs up or thumbs down to, and it isn't. A show that prints pipeline for a company selling to hospital procurement can be dead air for a company selling to indie coffee shops. And the exact same booth run by 2 different teams at the same event can end the week with wildly different results. So the question was never really, are events worth it? The real question is whether this show puts you in a room with people who can actually buy what you sell, and whether you have a way to catch them and follow up before the trail goes cold. Get those 2 right, and events are one of the few pieces left that you can shake a real handshake and start a real deal. Get them wrong, and yeah, you basically lighting money on fire in a convention center. Now, let me earn the cut part, because a lot of teams keep paying for shows out of habit and a little bit of fear. You go back every year because you went last year, and because you're scared of a competitor who's going to be there and you won't. That's not really a strategy. That's a subscription you forgot to cancel. So here's the test I'd use. Before you commit, can you look at the speakers list, the sponsors, the people already posting that are going, and actually name a handful of accounts you'd actually want to go and talk and maybe meet with? You usually can't get a clean attendee list handed to you, so you have to build the target list yourself from what's public. And if you can't name a single account worth the trip, that's the answer. You just cut it. Also, be very honest about the ones that you want to keep, because a regional show with 400 of exactly the right buyers will almost always beat the giant famous one where you're the one booth in 1,000 and nobody remembers you by lunch. So say you've cut the dead weight and you're down to the shows that generally put buyers in front of you. Here's the uncomfortable part, and it's the thing I promised you at the top. The team that wins that show almost never wins because of a bigger booth or a fancier banner. They win in the 12 hours after the conversation. I've watched 2 companies work the same floor, both came away with the same number of good chats, and one of them turns it into booked meetings while the other one loses half of it because the notes were scribbled on the back of business cards and thrown into somebody's bag. The leak is almost never the event itself. The leak is the handoff between great conversation and it's in the system and somebody actually is going to follow up. So the fix is boring and it works. Give everyone at the booth one simple way to capture each person the moment they talk to them, instead of hoping to remember and type it up on the way home. They scan a badge, add a quick line about what the person actually cared about, and it becomes a real contact in your CRM right there, tagged with the show and the rep who met them. That's what we built at Wave Connect. It reads the badge and fills in the rest, the work email, title, LinkedIn, phone number, so the lead is ready to work before that person even left the carpet. And because it's enriched the second you scan it, the follow-up that used to take your team a week can go out the same afternoon, while you're still the friendly face they just met. I'll drop a link below so your team can give it a shot. And once you've got that, please don't turn around and grade the show by how many badges you scan, because that's how you end up with a rep speed scanning a whole aisle to look busy and none of it means anything. Scans aren't the goal, they're just the tool. What you're actually counting on is real conversations that turn into next steps, demos on the calendar, and a few weeks later, deals that move forward. And give it those few weeks, because event pipeline almost never shows up the next morning. Someone you met in the spring closes in the fall, and if you're judging the show by Monday, you'll cut the exact events that are quietly working. So are trade shows worth it? For some of your shows, honestly no. And you should cut those out without guilt and put the money where the buyers actually are. But for the right show, worked the right way, they're still one of the highest trust ways to start a deal that exists. And the difference almost never comes down to how big your booth was. It comes down to picking rooms full of real buyers and never letting a single good conversation leak out. The teams quietly quitting events usually didn't have a bad show. They had a bad follow-up and then they blamed the show. So before you cancel the whole light item, fix the leak first, then decide. If that reframe was useful, subscribe, because I make these videos for the field marketing crew trying to prove this stuff actually works. So I'll see you in the next one.